be episode 200. That's 200. That's a big number. My name is Dave, and I'm joined by Michael.
Some would celebrate, but like for 150 and 100, we're Midwest boys, and we have modesty and don't give a shit about a number. It just means me and Dave have sat down together 200 plus times.
Yeah, a lot more than that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and do some math on the other stuff. But
Yeah, probably approaching 300 at that point.
Yeah.
But a lot of time. Thanks for everyone for downloading.
I don't. About to say, like the point of reference I use all the time now is I don't think Owen was born when you and I met.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Or probably
So-
we might have like physically met or known each other.
No, like even I don't think like when I started for all the previous stuff, I don't think Owen existed.
That's very likely.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because
he's 8, and like I think our first E3 was what 15 or 16.
yeah, and you came on board like 2 years after
13,
me.
14.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yep. But we're here.
All right.
Doing podcasts.
Yeah, we're here. We are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly show that posts every Thursday morning, 6 a.m. Eastern time on podcast services. You can watch us on YouTube. You can watch us on Twitch. You can watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming, as well as you can always click on the live feed and check the show out. Also, an audio version only of the show pops up on YouTube about a day or so later, which is kind of nice. On again, youtube.com/Digital Days Gaming. You can watch us live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Digital Days Gaming. And then you can listen to us on any of their podcast services, probably that you use, as well as we're waiting for some other stuff to merge together. You can check all that stuff out. And mainly you can go to digitaldaysgaming.com, and that's where you can get to any of the services that we use. If you're listening to this for your first time, welcome. Appreciate you guys taking the time to download or stream our show. That's super helpful. If you could leave us a review and a subscription, that is great as well. If you are a regular listener, thank you as well for taking time out of your week to listen to us ramble on about this. And if you haven't left us a review, please consider doing that. And you can, like I said, subscribe on YouTube, turn the bell thing on, and it'll tell you when we go live. And you can also sub on Twitch if you link your Amazon account and your Twitch account, or if you just feel like you want to support us monetarily through that, through Twitch, you could do that as well. And with that, everything else is, like I said, is linked in the show notes. Discord, Facebook, all that fun stuff is there. As Michael just mentioned before we started recording, we're kind of moving away from Twitter, just because we're kind of concerned with, not concerned about Twitter's health. That's a whole nother story. Just how Twitter functions with sharing links and hashtags and all this other crap that was their core foundation of them, that they probably might be changing.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are kind of broken with Twitter, especially when the idea of moving away from hashtags was brought up today.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, cool, like the one thing that people use to get trending, to get eyes on their work. It's like, that's not great. But yeah, you obviously join our Discord. Like, can't push it hard enough.
Yes.
Join our Discord.
Yep.
A lot more stuff happening there.
A little easier to follow conversations sometimes, and to just to get kind of like people to pop in and out. We've got a Ask Digital Days thread in there. We've got a collections thread in there. We got general talk in there. And if there's something that sparks conversation, like we'll always just create a thread. If something, if it needs to be sports, if it needs to be, whatever, that's the first thing that pops in my mind. But if it's or an anime, conversation, and it's not for you, we can just separate into categories, and everybody can kind of go where they want to go. That's one of the nice things about Discord, and I feel like it's so much easier to follow. We've been using Discord a ton with any of the games that I've been playing. I can't remember the last time I opened a PSN chat or an Xbox Party chat. So.
Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, and they fixed it, right? Like the PSN messaging thing isn't as annoying as it was before, but I haven't needed to touch it because everything's done through Discord.
Yeah. Discord. So I mean, Michael and I record on Discord. Like Discord's our home.
Yeah.
Like we haven't touched Skype or Google Play Hangouts or any of that other crap in, I think, DDG's lifespan. I think there's always been Discord, right?
We might have started No. It's always been Discord. That was like the first thing
Yeah.
that we did. Is like we're not dealing with Skype anymore or whatever we were forced to use before. We're like, no, Discord is what we're doing. Even though Discord has its issues, occasionally Dave will freeze up on the video, I'll freeze up on my video, but for the most part, it works. And for audio stuff, it doesn't really matter. So
You're right. So. All right, so a little bit of a lighter news show this week, but as we're getting closer and closer to the holiday season in the U.S., stuff's going to get a little lighter and lighter and lighter. But we do have some, our, like some numbers and things to talk about. So we'll throw it over to Michael to rate this ship.
Yeah. So Nintendo, this is around the time that Nintendo's actually really good at this, but they, when their financial reports, they give you like lifetime updates, which is something not every company does, but right. Nintendo recently did an investor call, financial call, and they gave some updates on hardware and software. So the first major update is Nintendo has moved 132.46 million Switches. This puts it about 20 million away from the all-time Nintendo record, which is held by the DS. So they're possibly going to do that. In the same kind of breath, they refuse to comment on next gen, because why comment on next gen?
It's real.
Yeah, but also why comment on next gen when the Switch is still moving pretty well? Like, it's not like we've heard of Switch sales necessarily like slowing down. It's just been going at like a steady clip with occasionally jumping up and down with sales. But yeah, 132 million units, Dave. Like, we'll just go by that number first before we get to these other numbers, which are also ridiculous. But Dave, do you think it's going to pass the DS? It needs 20 million more.
Yeah, I do. I feel like I know you're going to get to it on another bullet point, but I feel like I've seen a plethora of advertising for this Switch bundle with Mario Kart 8 in it as well for like $300.
Yeah, and then holiday one is Smash Brothers.
Yeah, and and I don't know enough about the Smash Brothers one, but it sounds like that Mario Kart one is the full thing, like is the full package. I don't know if you have to buy it's the deluxe, Mario Kart. I mean, I don't know. I don't
think
know,
it comes with the game, the expansion pass, but I think it comes with Nintendo Online, which technically gives you that. I think they're using it as to get you to subscribe to them to get that full Mario Kart package. Which I believe is going to be the case for Smash Brothers as well.
Yeah, which is just nuts. Yeah, I do. I feel like at $300, like if for whatever reason a person is asking for any kind of gaming console right now, and you go to the store and you have a Switch, a PS5, and a Series, both the Series and PS5 costing $500 with no game, maybe one right now.
Mm-hmm.
Or PS5's instance a game, Xbox's Game Pass, and then the Switch with Mario Kart for $300 or Smash Brothers for $300. Like, it's almost a no-brainer.
Yeah, and at any point, Nintendo, the margins are still fantastic on the hardware. They've been making a profit on that hardware since day one. They could drop the price at any point, and that will that will bring sales up to probably newer heights. Mm-hmm. But they don't need to do that. But that's in their back pocket if they, if they find out like
they make this thing $200, and they'll smoke through. They'll hit 50 million units if they make this thing $200.
Yeah, and that's the thing that like they would probably are holding. If they find out like the next gen console needs like 6 more months of production, they're just like, okay, let's just drop the price on the Switch, so people won't complain about like another year.
Well, it's not going to stop either. When Switch 2 comes out, like they're not going to just abandon, like we talked about with PS4 and Xbox One. Just like more PS4 than Xbox One, but you know. A certain point in time, you can't walk away from 140 million console base.
No, yeah, exactly.
To make another game. So,
yeah, and people are still going to pick that up years into the next one. Though Nintendo's pretty good at like just when they say next gen starting, they will cut production, but they also have to be motivated enough to cut that production, which the Switch.
Yeah, but there's also a humongously library, a plethora of games like that. Anybody even 2 years from now could buy a Switch and have tons of stuff to play.
Yeah,
tons.
So this goes in a updated software sales. There's a top 10, but I figured the top 3 plus an additional one would be worth talking about. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold 57 million units. Animal Crossing is number 2 at 43.8, and Smash Brothers Ultimate is at 32 million units sold. The next one that I wanted to mention in there, which is at, I believe, number 9 of their all-time sales, is Tears of the Kingdom, which has sold 19 million units. And Tears of the Kingdom came out in April? May, yeah. And then last one, Mario Wonderland is the fastest selling Mario game. Not surprising because there's 132 million Switches out there. Yeah. And it's sold 4.3 million units since it launched on October 20th.
Yeah, I mean, just the attach rate for Tears of the Kingdom, like you just round it to 20 million, round it down to 130 million, like that's nuts.
Yeah.
Just in terms of that 6-month attach rate. And then you talk about Mario Kart 8 almost at 50%.
Yeah, like,
or like 45%.
Yeah.
Like, so, every 4 out of 10 people you talk to that owns a Switch has that game.
Yeah, no, these are the numbers. This is the thing that, like, people sometimes give a shit because, we'll say, like, PlayStation, wants, to sell more than, like, 15 to 20 million units. And this is why, because they see, like, Nintendo is able to do it with multiple franchises, like in the 30 million plus.
I mean, PlayStation celebrates like the God of War franchise selling 20 million units. The franchise.
Yeah. Well, though the last 2 have sold well. I don't know if we have Ragnarok numbers. I know God of War 2018 did hit 20 million units sold over its lifetime, but it takes a little bit of time to get there.
4 years, not 4 months.
Yeah. And when you look at like was it the top 4 games for the Switch have sold 31 million plus.
Yeah.
And that's number 4, Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild is currently at 31.5 million units sold, and Tears of the Kingdom's only been out like 6 months and is at 19.5, which means Tears of the Kingdom will probably surpass Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Are you at all enthralled or interested, or I mean, I know one's like a more like, I guess one would be even more niche than the other, but that Smash Brothers, that is, as long as it's been around, Ultimate, which I don't remember how many years it's been around, 5.
Yeah, like 4 or 5.
But that, same thing with Breath of the Wild in the same lifespan. Like, is it surprising? I guess is it surprising to you how close it is, or did you think it'd be more? Because I feel like Smash might be a little bit more accessible to more people than Breath of the Wild.
No, I'm actually, I think Smash Brothers is overperforming in terms of it being number 3 is pretty good for Smash, because it's more accessible, but it's still a fighting game that could be super frustrating for people, because if you just have one person in your party that knows how to play Smash Brothers, no one else is going to have fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very intimidating thing, and then the multiplayer online still sucks from Nintendo. So like, I feel like if Smash Brothers had a good online infrastructure, then like I would expect it to be significantly higher than what it is, but I think it's not a full package. But I also think they put themselves in a box where you can't do a sequel to this. Like, Ultimate literally is the ultimate version of this game. There's like 80 playable characters. So like this is the retirement.
No, it's just always interesting data, like an accessible party style game going, being caught by a single player game. So like that's more like what I'm talking about. Like the most ultimate party style game, is Mario Kart. And it's covering around 60 million
party.
Units. It'll probably but is Party even on the top 5?
It's number 8. 19 million units sold.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of people like this. It wasn't really a highly reviewed Mario Party, Super Mario Party specifically.
Right.
So like the fact that it's in the top 10 is like pretty impressive.
Yeah. Because I fully expect Mario Kart 8 to pass 60 million units with this bundle.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I think within the quarter, I think it increased 1.5 million.
Yeah. Would you expect? And I the same thing. I know that it was more the exposure. But would you expect? Would Animal Crossing be this high if it wasn't for COVID?
No, I think that definitely helped. It would be in the top 10.
Okay.
But I think it would be in the bottom half of that top 10. Pokemon should be higher if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Right.
Just
because
launching it.
I noticed during the pandemic that people that pretty much realized, okay, we're at home, we're gonna be here for a little while. Like they were ordering Switches, and then they ordered a Switch. They ordered Animal Crossing because they wanted Animal Crossing, and they got a Switch.
Yeah, I know several people that did that. Of just like they've never played
and
it.
They've never touched it since.
Yeah. Their villagers think they're dead. Like it's
and I mean, they haven't touched their Switch. Like
yeah, I would say the people that I know, they still touch their Switch, but they haven't touched Animal Crossing. It's like soon as the quarantine was lifted, people just stopped playing Animal Crossing and potentially found something else. And based on like the sales for these games, it sounds like they touched another Nintendo game, like right after Animal Crossing. But I would love to know what the adoption rate is for the Mario Kart Deluxe expansion, because I would imagine that has drove sales too. You know, them adding like 30 additional tracks through this expansion pack. And the way they've been dishing it out, where they like release 8 at a time every couple months. I want to know what like the adoption rate is for that, and also how many sales increase every time they release like a new pack.
Yeah, are you surprised that we haven't heard members of the online functionality, like Nintendo Online?
Yeah, I let me, because they talked about. Yeah, I don't think they really brag about like their service numbers, which
would lead me to believe that they're not great.
Yeah, I would imagine they're not great. They're probably not touching the PlayStation numbers or the Game Pass numbers.
Yeah. Nor would I ever expect them to. But at the same time, like this is like a flower made out of frosting on top of the icing already, like of the cake.
Yeah, especially what they're trying to aim for, and also because like the low cost of like what a Nintendo Switch Online even cost. Like, I would imagine there's not a ton of people with it, but there's
we have to see some success from it, just from people playing F-Zero 99 and Tetris 99. Like, you know that there's a user base there because that's the only way to play it. And I know you haven't probably done it in a little while, but I feel like if you booted up Tetris 99 right now, you'd have a game within 30.
All week actually, because they announced at the end of the week they're going to release a Mario RPG skin for it. So I'm playing I can get the Mario.
But even
RPG
like a month ago, like it wouldn't take but a minute to get a game, right?
Oh no, yeah, you get games within like less than a minute. Still, I don't know if they're filling the game with bots, but it seems like everyone's a real person.
Right. So. It's just interesting because I mean you can see games that are struggling certain times, like live service games or anything like that, where your matchmaking queues are longer because it's trying to find people.
Yeah, no, and for this, like, because it's Tetris, it's an evergreen franchise. Like, I think there's always going to be people playing.
Yeah, have you ever gone? Have you? I know you tried F-Zero 99, right?
Yeah, I played that last time I played it was a week ago. I was still able to get a game. It takes a little longer than Tetris 99, but you still get one. And Tetris 99 is like a minute or less. F-Zero is like maybe 90 seconds. You know, like an additional 30 seconds.
Yeah, sure.
But that's also, I think, because F-Zero, like, you go through like 5 races. Like when you join an online match, it's like 5 races in a row, and I think that might be enough to push people off for some of that stuff.
All right, I'm done for today.
Yeah, you know, they or they're just like, I don't feel like doing 5, as opposed to Tetris 99. It's like get the game in pretty quick.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's not all the Nintendo news we have. This one I'm a little baffled by, but I knew it was coming. The Zelda live-action movie is officially in development. After years of searching for a partner, Nintendo has found one with Sony Pictures for the Legend of Zelda live-action film. That's the part that catches me off guard. Yeah. Nintendo announced that Miyamoto will be a producer, along with Avi Arad. Arad's credits include all the recent live-action Spider-Man films and most of the non-Disney Marvel movies. So if you look at his track record, anything that Sony's done, from Uncharted to Spider-Man, he's had a part in. Mm-hmm. The movie will be directed by Wes Spell, whose previous works include the Maze Runner trilogy and the upcoming Planet of the Apes film, which the Planet of the Apes movie looks pretty good. Maze Runner was like one of those like Hunger Games kind of like films that came out around that time. And the writer attached to it is Derek Connolly, who wrote the recent Jurassic Park films. Funding is apparently is going to be like Nintendo paying for more than 50% of the film, with Sony picking up the rest and also handling the distribution. So it sounds like Nintendo is like, we're going to front most of this money because we want to have most control, and also Miyamoto is going to be in charge to handle things. Dave, you love Zelda more than me. Though I do like Zelda, but like, what were your thoughts about 1, live action, 2, who they're working with, and 3, how things look like they're breaking out?
I feel like with the success of the Mario movie, that I thought that this would have gone to them.
Yeah, Universal.
Yeah, and the other, the animation company. I can't think of it. Right
the
now,
Minions people.
Yeah. And so like that's surprising to me. Am I surprised that there's a Zelda movie happening? No. Am I surprised that it's live action? Yes. And then the partnership with Sony is a little weird, but in terms of the live action part of it, it makes sense for it to be Sony, if that makes sense. I will, to be fully honest with you, I will probably see this movie regardless.
Same.
Whether it like no matter what. I am concerned, like we've talked about this for years, like is Link gonna talk? Because he doesn't talk in the game.
He's gonna talk. Mario barely talks, and he was doing full monologues.
Right, but that was animated too.
Yeah.
So excuse me. And then just with the live action part, I look at I don't know enough about movies, but I feel like making a live action movie is more expensive than making an animated. Maybe not anymore, depending on who you're.
It depends on the art style you're going for.
Yeah. There's a lot of characters. Like I don't know what direction they're gonna go. Like I mean, I know you have the basic direction of like Zelda gets taken by Ganon, and you go in, and Link goes and rescues and defeats Ganon. Like that's been the core of Zelda over time and time again. But do you tell the Ocarina timeline? Do you tell the Breath of the Wild timeline?
I almost feel like you do generic fantasy, and it just happens to have Link as the protagonist, played probably by Tom Holland, which I don't want, but that because of the producer Arad, I'm like, he really likes Tom Holland. I think you. But question I had, sorry to cut you off, was like, do you do young Link? Do you do an older Link? Like, what do you go?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, what timeline do you use? What like, is it? Like the alleged 3 different timelines when he travels in Ocarina of Time. That's where it splits off to the game over timeline where Ganon wins. Like which one is it? Like which Link is it? Which reincarnation of it is? Like are they is this person, this writer, gonna truly pay homage and dig and you got to do a lot of digging because these people that are going to go to this movie are going to pick apart like that Triforce is not the right angled correctly.
Well, no, and also you run the risk of like, because Mario is animated, you can have a little bit more fun with those Easter eggs and those callbacks. When it's live action, you have to be a little bit more subtle with like references because things can look out of place or they might not fit. When you have actual real people walking around the scenes. Mario was able to make 1,000 million references to various, Nintendo things. But it's okay because it's animated and it's a kid movie. Like this will probably be a kid's movie still. There's always
the core. I mean, there's always the core, the Death Mountain people, the water people, the desert people. Like, I mean, it's like I'm not when you sit there and brush away all the pop and circumstance that's a Zelda. It's mountains, water, sand. Like it's not like it's not some special thing. Like and I'm worried like how that would kind of like somebody's gonna walk out like, oh, I just saw another version of Snow White. That's what Link and Zelda are, like.
No, and that's the thing, like, and they can go many directions. They can go like a bombastic like popcorn movie, like adventure, like, hey, we're gonna go kill Ganon and all that stuff, or they could go with a more like artistic, like scavenging the lands, go in like a Lord of the Rings direction with it and be fine too. Right. And I'm talking about Lord of the Rings, like the first one where they're mostly just kind of walking and building plot together. Like there's a lot of different directions you can go with this, which is why I think doing it live action is just the biggest risk you can do.
The puzzles, the dungeons, the sages, things like the way that like just the way that things have been, like the bosses, like it's just, I mean, like it's a dungeon crawler with a boss and a story, and the prince is saving the princess. Like, even though if you don't consider Link a prince, like that's just what the core foundation of it is. And I don't truly know how well that will go over in a live action setting.
Just the way Link dresses. You know, like an actual human.
He's an elf.
Yeah, an actual human dressing like Link is going to look weird, and if you change it too much, it's going to look like a superhero film. You have to find that balance.
Do you know how many people when Owen dresses up as Link for Halloween like a year ago or 2 years ago just thought he was an elf?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, or
like,
Peter Pan.
You know, so yeah. So I mean, or Robin Hood, or you know, like there's so many things, and that just concerns me from the live action standpoint of where, to your point, like a lot of things can just be fixed, and I feel like animating a video game movie versus live action is, I think, easier. Like, how are you gonna, and that easier? I mean, like, how are you gonna make the gigantic scorpion that Link fights that he has to wait and hit 3 times in the eye, like. You know, like I know I'm trivializing it, but like he doesn't fight another. You know, Ganon's technically not a human. Like,
and just, you know, we don't know what the budget's going to be. Nintendo's paying for a good chunk of this, but we don't know how much that really means until we see like the final budget numbers. I do worry that like the director. I don't know how the new Planet of the Apes movie is going to turn out. I'm interested. The trailers are good, but it definitely seems like they're playing it safe with the director writer combination that they've had. We're gonna have to find out like what they're able to do, and I would imagine if you have Miyamoto involved, you're not gonna waste too much time. Like, I don't expect this to be like the Uncharted movie where that movie went through like 6 directors and like 3 or 4 different people cast in the movie.
And the unfortunate part for like you and I though is like as they're advertising this movie, they're gonna have to pull on the core foundation strings. Like the first time you ever see a trailer for this, you're just gonna hear the generic Zelda music.
But that's all you need. Like that first teaser.
Right. No, I know that. Like, but that's how they're gonna get the random person's attention of like I'm gonna know the Zelda trailer's coming out, or when it's being advertised in you know halftime of Sunday Night Football.
All it's gonna be is like you're gonna hear the little whistle of the song, and then you're gonna see a sword getting picked up or something, and people are gonna like lose their shit. Casting.
Hey, listen.
Yeah. when the release date drops, you'll hear. Hey, listen. Yeah, there's so many casting choices they could go with. I can't even like fantasy cast this movie until I know like what they're aiming for.
Like what timeline, what foundation, what characters are they focusing on? Like,
are they doing anything with the previous stories? Because you don't necessarily have to do anything. You don't have to be like, oh, we need the Ocarina or the Majora Mask storyline.
Yeah.
Because it's, no offense, generic fantasy, you know, like for the most part. Yeah. It's always been about like gameplay and, you know, the characters more than like the story that they're going through.
At its core, again, and I'm not trying to trivialize it, Mario and Zelda are the same concept.
Kinda. I mean, it is Save the Princess, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and it's going to be up to that team of Miyamoto. I'm not counting Arad as like an actual hands-on producer. Like, I feel like Miyamoto is going to be there to approve the story and stuff. Arad's just there because it's like he knows how to get big budget movies together. But it's going to be up to the writer, director, and Miyamoto to come up with a plan and cast the perfect person. And based on the fact that Chris Pratt was cast means Nintendo has no problem with just going whatever is the biggest actor at the time. So get ready for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Link.
Ganon.
But you know what? They would probably make that somehow work with his voice, or Vin Diesel will probably be Ganon or something. You know, it's
John Cena as Link versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as Ganon.
Yes, exactly. Scarlett Johansson is Zelda. Like, it's just gonna happen. It's gonna be terrible. But
the other girl, the one name that's dating Tom Holland.
Zendaya. Yeah. It'll just be that because it's a Sony film and Sony just kind of picks the same actors. So it won't be The Rock. It'll be someone else, but it'll be Jared Leto.
This Master Swords for family.
Yeah, it's going to be something like that. I don't know what they're going to end up doing with casting. I almost hope they go with a nobody teen actor.
I agreed.
And just hope that they can act. And can grow into like a character, you know, like a leading actor. But I'm excited for this. I would imagine if you make this announcement and you have Miyamoto attached, with Miyamoto's age, you kind of want to get this movie set up and made. What,
2026 latest?
Yeah, I think so. Like, like 2026, maybe 2027. I feel like this will start shooting sometime next year. Because I doubt Nintendo, if they're going to be paying for more than half of this film, want to end up in development hell. like movies
Right.
can. Like they're going to be like, hey, we're putting the money in, we're going to get this rolling, we're going to go for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But speaking of live action adaptations, The Last of Us Season 2 is coming in 2025. So The Last of Us Season 2 is set to go in production in early 2024 with a release window set sometime in 2025. Production was delayed due to the writer's strike, and the actors are currently on strike, but a couple minutes ago,
Yeah,
they reached an agreement, half hour before we recorded. Producer Craig Mazin had previously said the show could go for 4 seasons. He said 3 to 5, but 4 is what he's aiming for. We don't know if the delays have affected that outline. But Dave, before I let you talk, this seems perfect that the strike happened because a lot of people were like, oh, we want Ellie to grow up a little bit, get a little older like she does in the game. And then now we have a chance for,
Yeah, like I'm totally game with that, but at the same time, like we've seen it before. Like I think the character that played her is
they are
in her
already
early 20s.
They already are like I think late teens.
They aged her down. Like they made her look younger.
Yes.
Like
which means
and now they can make her look. We've seen it all the time. If you ever watch like a high school drama, or whatever, it's usually 24, 25-year-olds that they make look 17.
But the thing that's going to be funny though is the actor Bella Ramsey, what they're probably going to do is just not age them up, and people are going to just assume that's because it's been 3 years since the show. They're not going to realize that person was aged down significantly for the show, and they're just going to be like, yeah, no, they just really grew up. And it's like, no, they didn't have to put as much makeup or slightly dressed differently, and you can easily age them up now. Are you okay waiting for another year? I mean, you have no choice.
I guess I don't really have a choice. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like, I mean, I haven't like tried to go back and watch it again. Like sometimes we too, like I tend to go back and watch episodes. Maybe like I should check it out and see like if I digest it differently. Like it's just hard to tell like what they're gonna like. There's potential for huge story and huge branches to be told of like how they're gonna do it. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
that's what I'm most fascinated about is what like season 2 episode 1, like which road did they take?
Yeah,
like that's what I'm more
especially when they talked about like, hey, we think we might need 2 seasons to cover the second game.
Right. Well, didn't they tease that they've already cast Abby?
Yeah, apparently they already, but they couldn't announce it because of the actor strike. So we'll probably within the next couple of days, once the paperwork's finalized, we'll get that casting announcement. And then the internet will throw a shit fit and complain, and then it's going to turn out to be fantastic, Yeah. I wonder though if like losing a year of production, like if they worry about like Bella Ramsey's schedule or interest in the show, or more importantly, probably like Pedro Pascal in terms of like older actor super busy is, they better hope loves the show because he might have had an idea of by 2025 being done with the show, and then now like we're gonna need you until 2029 now because we lost a year and a half with this because
maybe they don't.
It knowing how the last strike went, like we don't know the ramifications of the time off. I will know that next year when there's not a lot of movies coming out next fall, but I would love to know how this will change like negotiations and just like some actors' interest. Because last time there was a strike, people came back and they were like recast in some shows because schedules just didn't work out anymore.
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going to happen long term with the show until they start production in like 6 months. And I would imagine this means now it's like late 2025. Right. If they're going to start production, in January of next year.
This is made for like, I mean, I feel like they were reluctant to know how it was or wasn't going to perform in the first season, but like this is must see TV Sunday night in the fall. Like, September, October, November, like that. You walk into your office on Monday morning with earmuffs on because you don't want to hear people talking about it as you walk by the conference room.
Yeah. And I also wonder if this is going to maybe they go for a shorter season too, because they want to split, the second game into multiple seasons, and also because they might feel rushed to do a spring release in 2025, just because there's not going to be a lot of stuff coming out next year, so a lot of the companies are going to have to write off next year entirely, and can they wait to write off the first half of 2025?
Would you be okay with a 12-episode season that 6 of them are in September and October, and then 6 of them are in February, March? Like they do that split again.
I hate the splits.
I do too, but I mean, if it gives them more time, like, okay, so you get the split September, October to February, March of late 2025, early 2026, or you get nothing until February 2026.
I would almost say nothing. I'd rather wait for nothing, because I don't think any show has done the split well.
Yeah. Except for Simpsons.
If I paid attention to the Simpsons, I could give an opinion on that. But like,
no, the only time I remember it being done well is when they thought Burns got killed.
Oh no, but wasn't it a 2P continued into like the next season?
Yeah, I think that was like in May and then September or whatever.
Yeah,
any split.
Yeah, but usually splits they just aren't done well enough. And the first season of The Last of Us, I think it was only like 9 episodes.
Right.
So
8,
going shorter than that would be a disappointment, but I think that's possible. I could see them doing. I think Walking Dead had to do that multiple seasons, where it's like, hey, 5 episodes, and then we're gonna take a couple months off, and then here's like the last 4.
So you hate that system, though?
I do.
Okay.
Because I feel
I do too.
It knocks me out of rhythm, and also I don't think a show's figured out how to do that mid-season, like cliffhanger.
Yeah, the thing that sucks about like just the way that you and I function on social media, though, it's not even like we could shut down for the first 5 episodes and wait and watch all 10.
No.
Like we couldn't shut down for 6 months,
Yeah, and I also feel like that's when stuff ends up getting leaked. Is they're like, oh yeah, no, the episode's leaked online. You can watch the rest of the season.
No, I'm just talking about the split. If you're like, I hate the split, I'll just wait till February and I'll
Oh
watch.
Yeah, that just extends the time that you have to wait. Yeah, no, that would be super frustrating. But we'll move on from there, Dave. Rockstar announces there's going to be an announcement or a trailer. So Rockstar
announces announcement.
Yeah, Rockstar announced that they're going to drop the first trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 in early December. The announcement followed Jason Schreier basically saying like, hey, Rockstar is probably going to make an announcement and drop a trailer in early December. And Rockstar was like, okay, yeah, we're going to do that. No word on if Rockstar is going to hold their own day for it, but the Game Awards did announce that December 7th is when the Game Awards is happening, which, Dave, that's early December. Grand Theft Auto 5 was released in 2013. Red Dead Redemption 2 was released in 2018. There's another report that said that the game might have cost about like $1 billion to make, which is going to make it the most expensive game of all time, which isn't crazy because it's Grand Theft Auto. Dave, this practically broke the internet and they didn't announce anything. Like, I don't know if you saw like the numbers this stuff was doing.
Again, when Grand Theft Auto is mentioned in conversation at my work, like at work from customers or employees like that don't play video games regularly, like it's a big deal. Like this is, I mean, I feel like I say this about a lot of things. I don't really enjoy this franchise, but I respect the hell out of what it's been able to do.
I used to enjoy this franchise, and I still respect what they do. But
but to release your game 7 times on 3 different generations of consoles is just fascinating.
Yeah. But the thing that a lot of people are like, oh, the game's probably still won't come out until 2029. I don't feel like Rockstar is going to drag out the release.
No, like holiday 2025.
Yeah, at the latest.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised.
They're going to say holiday 2024 and it's going to come out
2025. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be surprised if the trailer ends with like next holiday. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to kind of do what they did with 6 or 5 where
here's the online first.
They're going to reverse it this time, which is what I was going to say. Is like the first time it was like, hey, here's a single player online's coming soon. I could see them being like, here's the online single player coming soon. Just, or when it releases in like next year. Do you think it's going to be Game Awards? They don't need the Game Awards.
Yeah.
So it would just be.
They don't need them.
Yeah.
But yeah, how do you, in terms of the core audience that like GTA fans, hardcore GTA fans will find it no matter what.
Yes.
But if you want if you want to, and it's not even the Game Awards. Like, if you want the casual audience plays your game, that like that, however many millions of copies GTA 5 has sold is, like, I don't know where you do that. Like, you do something at the Game Awards, and to be honest with you, if it already cost you $1 billion to make the game, fuck it, put something on the Super Bowl. Like, at this point in time, like,
yeah,
like I the college football playoffs, like, are early January. Like, I mean, it's something of where, like, those people are going to watch. Like, the guy that at work that mentions GTA 6 to me doesn't know or watch the Game Awards. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It would almost feel like for the Game Awards, it would be Grand Theft Auto or Rockstar doing charity for Jeff Keighley.
Right. Well, you announce it then and say, hey, we're doing a live stream. Like, whatever, Game Awards are kind of Thursday. Like, hey, we're doing a live stream Monday night.
Yeah,
like,
you do that,
days.
but, like,
yeah.
they're not doing it because they need the Game Awards. They're doing it as, like, hey, here, Keighley. Like, here's something that's going to boost your ratings. It'll be the highest rated Game Awards probably ever.
But do you think Rockstar cares that much about Keighley?
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, but it would feel like it would have to be, or it's just them.
But there's really no other platform. Like,
But they don't need that platform, which is the thing.
Right, but so, I mean, what do they do? Just announce a Tuesday afternoon stream like Destiny does and say, hey, 1 o'clock we're going live, we're going to show GTA 6?
That's what they did last time.
Okay.
Like, they just were like, hey, like, we're doing a thing, and, like, it was the biggest thing, like, on YouTube, I think, at the time, like GTA 5's announcement.
I mean, it's going to break YouTube no matter what.
Yeah, it's going to break YouTube. It's going to break Twitter. That's not hard nowadays. It's going to break Facebook.
It's going to break Twitch.
Yeah, it's going to break Twitch. It's gonna, like, the amount of people that are going to, for a 2-minute trailer, if Rockstar announces, hey, we're uploading a trailer on YouTube at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, there's going to be so many people doing live reactions just to that 2 minutes. Yeah. And then the analyst videos that are come after it when people...
the old school rewind theater
Yeah,
stuff.
the breaking frame by frame. It's funny, though. I think it was Tinsley PR that they said, like, every marketing person's, like, panicking that bought ad spots for the Game Awards for their trailers, because it's like, the positive, more people will see your trailer for your indie game because of Grand Theft Auto 6 potentially being there. And 2, no one will talk about your trailer if Grand Theft Auto premieres there, because that's all they're going to talk about. Like, it's a double-edged sword of, like, that's going to eat up whoever's going to win the Game Awards. No one's going to give a shit if Grand Theft Auto shows up, which I would wonder, like, does Keighley have to think about that if Rockstar comes to him? Like,
yeah, but at that point in time, you almost, like, you end the show with it. Like, you do everything.
Yeah, that's what you have to do.
You give out every award, and you say, hey, good night. Oh, by the way, play, and walk off the stage.
Yeah.
Like, so your event is over, and then GTA's there.
But then know that no one's going to talk about your event afterwards. Like, it's just going to be Grand Theft Auto talk. And, like, if you're...
Because you can't do it beforehand. If you do it beforehand, then nobody's going to watch your event.
Yeah. And again, no one's going to talk about your event. Like, regardless. So you have to wonder if Keighley's just like... If I was Keighley, I'd be like, can I host the trailer drop on a separate thing and it doesn't interfere with the Game Awards? Or give me a little extra to do with the Game Awards, just because, like, that's going to eat up so much of the headspace for that night.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, no, Grand Theft Auto 6. I kind of think we might see it next year. But I agree, if it slips into 2025, like, it's totally reasonable too. That's all I got for news,
all right.
I think.
Yeah, that's it for our news. It doesn't appear that anything has been delayed. For the record, Destiny still has not formally been delayed.
Oh no.
No,
can you follow up? They did do their live stream. Did you watch their live stream post layoffs?
They did not do a live
stream.
They
didn't. They put out a statement.
No, they put out a statement which was very vague, that pretty much said they're committed to the final shape, not confirming the delay. Talked about how, like, it said it sucked that how many people got laid off. Like, and it's, like, the reported revenue thing is what everybody is, like, reported loss of revenue is what everybody's, like, grasping onto and holding onto. So there's been a lot of talk, though, I guess, that I've seen. Do you think that, like, I guess what I want to ask you is, like, what did they show Sony that said, okay, here you go, here's $7 billion?
Or it was 3, right? 3 or 4?
I'm sorry?
It was like $4 billion or something.
I thought it was 7 billion.
Was it? I gotta
No,
look it up.
that's Bethesda. Sorry, that was
Yeah, that was Bethesda. But
So,
they probably showed them. I would say they're like, hey, we have like the longest running live service game that isn't WoW, or that isn't an MMO.
I'm sorry, 3.6 billion. Sorry,
with 1 billion going to retention. Which,
and well, that's already been said to have been gone through.
yeah, because of the way they divvied that up.
Stock stuff.
Yeah,
and
which
and
some of the
things
people
like that,
still
so.
lost their stock because they got fired. So
Which is not uncommon, by the way. Like we said,
yeah, it's not
still
uncommon,
sucks,
but like
but it's not uncommon.
the idea that you're part of the acquisition, all that stuff. So I would imagine they showed PlayStation like, hey, we have one of the longest reigning non-MMO multiplayer games or live service games. We have Marathon, which is the first new shooter we've made in 10 fucking years. You desperately need a shooter or an FPS. And also we have this other project that could also be the next big whatever that they're working on. And then they also are like, hey, we also could help you in these factors, especially Jim Ryan is like, we need 12 live service games.
Yeah.
I think the expertise is what sold them. And that's why I think PlayStation doesn't give a shit about Destiny, regardless if it makes money or loses money. Like, though I'm sure if you go to PlayStation and you're like, hey, if Bungie came to PlayStation tomorrow and was like, hey, are you okay if we shut Destiny down? PlayStation would be like, fuck, yeah, like we don't care. Like, do what you got to do. Just get Marathon out, get that new thing out, and then also help us right the ship of our other live service games.
Yeah, because like the talk has been, okay, so Bungie's missing revenue by 45% and allegedly stopped factions from coming out, and they have a quote unquote dying live service game.
Yeah.
So people are like, why are you giving them a voice if this is the case? We don't know for sure if they did or didn't have the voice, but
what if I told
like I said,
what if I told you they would probably be worth more if they weren't losing 45% revenue?
No, I mean I agree with you. Like the thing is, the perception is reality, and I'm aware of that. Like I'm passionate about Destiny. I enjoy playing Destiny. I think that and people can disagree with me, but I think that Bungie's track record of Halo and Destiny has earned them a seat at the table where you have to listen to what they say.
No, I think most people would probably agree with you on that.
Yeah, other people are pointing to other franchises like, oh, look, Rocket League's doing it, blah blah blah's doing it, like, and really, if you're not WoW, you really don't have much of a say. I feel like,
yeah, well, it's like Bungie made the console FPS a real thing with Halo, and then they showed you can do a non-MMO live service game with two major things. They basically, during the 2000s, made FPSs on console like an actual reality, and then in 2010
multiplayer too.
Yeah, multiplayer too. And then in the 2010s, they showed live services can be a thing. Like they did two blockbuster monumental things in 2 different decades. So yeah, they earned that right, which is why, Dave, I was gonna say, what if PlayStation already knew that they were gonna not hit their revenue goals significantly, and lowballed Bungie a little bit because of that? Like, this isn't shocking to PlayStation at all.
Right.
Like, PlayStation's like, yeah, we knew they weren't going to hit their Destiny numbers, which is why we only gave them $2 billion.
I had somebody talking to me on Twitter about there's slow burns and quick burns or whatever. Slow burns are the companies that are more successful. I'm like, you can't dispute what Bungie's been doing for 30 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, nobody pays attention until the expansion comes out. Nobody pays attention to Assassin's Creed until a new one comes out. Nobody pays attention to 2K until a new one comes out. Like whether you want to annualize it or not annualize it. Like, I don't know if Uncharted, releasing Uncharted story chapters over months would work. I don't think it would.
No.
So it's two different worlds, and people can put, they try to be free to play. Like, they're free to play to appease people. Like, they were free to play because Bungie wanted to go free to play. Like, but it's really pay to play, and it's free to download, but it's a pay to play game. Like, and so it's one of those things where I don't know. It's just weird just seeing that the people that are starting to talk about Destiny and starting to criticize Destiny and Bungie as a studio are paying attention to the here and now, and not the best way that I can equate it is that Bungie got paid for what it did, not for its history and its potential, not for current.
Yeah. Again, I don't think Destiny.
Right. I'm not disputing it. Other than they can say, look what we did.
No, that's what I'm saying. I don't think Destiny's future had anything to do with this deal. Right. Destiny's past did, and Bungie's future did, but I don't think PlayStation was like, shit. Bungie, Destiny 2 missed 45% of its targets. Oh shit. Like, I don't think PlayStation. Because
I think if it was that bad, somebody from Sony would have said something when Bungie did their layoffs.
Yeah, no, they would have stopped them because you would have stopped them.
No, they would have publicly, like Sony would have released a statement.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't have put so much money in retention. Like it was one of those things where, like, Bungie had the track record, earned that money, and it was a big enough deal that you're telling me that PlayStation didn't have economists and lawyers going through Bungie's books and saw this coming. Like they.
Well, and we saw it from Microsoft when Microsoft had their document on the studios. Like, one of the biggest cons about Bungie was the high burn rate.
Yes.
They go through cash, and they go through cash fast, like super fast. Now, what's worse though, like, over 9 months, I don't even know. I'll just use a small round number. Over 9 months, you burn through $5 million, but then after those 9 months, you release a piece of content, it makes $10 million. Like, what? Like, is it worth it? Is the return on investment worth it? You just burned $5 million super fast, but you just made $5 million.
Yeah, and that ultimately comes down to what PlayStation expects or wants from them, which is why they paid the money for them, and also why they haven't really made a big deal about the layoffs. I mean, obviously PlayStation is laying off a little bit of everywhere, but for the most part, it's like they're probably fine with Destiny. I don't think anyone, when this news came out at PlayStation, were surprised or even upset about it, because they probably knew it was coming.
If I'm Sony, the number one thing, to your point, that I'm concerned about then, if that's the case, is Marathon's delay. Yeah,
and honestly, even with that
alleged delay,
but
we still don't even have a real date for Marathon. By the way, we just had a window, I believe.
Yeah, it was a window for 2024.
Holiday 2024.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where, if PlayStation allows it to get delayed to 2025, I also think that's a sign that they're like, hey, we have confidence in Bungie that this game will be successful. Like, we'll give them the extra time to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think the true panic is going to be if Bungie announces Destiny 3.
Right, I 100% agree. And the only reason that I still, like I said this last week, the only way that Destiny 3 becomes a thing is if Marathon and this other game fail.
Yeah. If it fails, and then they pull that cord, or
both of them have to fail.
Both of them would have to fail, and at that point, Bungie would just be a name that PlayStation owns.
Well, and like, do you let them? Does Sony let them do what would really have to happen? And there was conversation about this. Is like, does Sony allow them to shut down for 3 years, 4 years, and not talk and make a Destiny 3 or another new IP, like, to where they just go away?
Yeah,
for 3 or 4 years.
I think PlayStation does that with most of their studios.
Right.
I think that also,
because
though,
that's what would happen. That is what would have to happen if Destiny 3 were to come out. Destiny 2 would have to stop and end, and then Bungie would have to go radio silent for 36 months.
Yeah, but also what would happen is you would maybe get one of your auxiliary studios hand Destiny over to them, Destiny 2 over to them.
Right.
And you have to announce that, of like, hey, Fire Sprite or whatever, or sometimes Always Monsters, whoever it is, they are handling the next expansions or events for Destiny. Or you would do away with expansions. You just be like, his seasonal content, stuff will be handled by another studio. We're gonna go radio silent. You probably announce right away.
Which is, by the way, which is what I think is happening after Final Shape. They're transitioning from seasons to episodes, and I think you're not going to get another Destiny, the Final Shape, Destiny Shadowkeep. You're just going to get episodes.
Yeah. And if you do, it's going to be like WoW, where it's like every 4 years you get like an expansion. I think that's totally a possibility. Because again, PlayStation doesn't really care about studios going radio silent. They would just have to be very upfront, and they would have to just let the community know, like, hey, we're gonna go silent. We're working on Destiny 3. Here's a logo. see you guys in however long it takes us. But also, I think in that little...
It's ready when it's ready.
Yeah. That little chart that they put out that said, like, here are the PlayStation studios and here's Bungie on the outside. Bungie comes into the circle if they have to do Destiny 3. Because then they're going to have to be managed by someone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because also, all their successful games have come out when they were under the management of someone else. If you think about it. Halo... under Microsoft, and then Activision kind of did run them a little bit with Destiny 1, which is why I remember Destiny 1 was like, hey, they were kind of forced to do Destiny 2 a little bit by Activision.
Because of they were forced because of Activision's model.
Yes. So I think
the way the Activision system was working at the time.
If you're PlayStation, you kind of bring that up of like, hey, when you made Halo, Microsoft was micromanaging you. Hey, when you made Destiny, the 2, Activision was micromanaging you. Then you'd have to go from there. But yeah, Dave, I talked about Destiny because I didn't really play anything, and I wanted.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, I've been trying to play as much Spider-Man 2 as I can. At this point in time, it's probably better for you to do the spoiler cast with Owen than me because Owen's beating it.
Nice.
He had election day off, and he completed the game. He was playing on friendly neighborhood mode, and he's as an 8-year-old, he's doing a very good job of self-containing him. Self-containing and self-controlling himself by not talking to me about what's happening in the game. And even when he sees me playing, he starts to say something and then he realizes. So he's very self-aware, which I'm very proud of as a dad of an 8-year-old. Like he's like, okay, I can't talk to my dad about that, even though I know exactly what he's about to do.
Yeah.
So that's great. No, I don't know where his trophy progress is. And now that you say that as well, I'm starting to wonder why I'm not earning trophies is because he's ahead of me and he's playing. He doesn't use his own PSN account because he can't. He can use his own PSN account, but he can't because.
So you had 2 separate saves.
Yes, in the same and on my profile, but he can't because my oldest uses my primary console and I use my secondary console. So when he tries to sign in as himself, as Owen, Spider-Man's locked. Okay. So
well, as long as he didn't delete your save.
No, he's pretty good. We set that all up.
So you might actually get yourself a platinum.
I have my own platinums. Thank you very much.
I didn't know, Dave.
Like Rocket League, Watch Dogs, Destiny 1 and 2. Something else is in there too. There's another one.
Are we even friends on PlayStation? I would have to look at your trophy. I never look at my friend list on PlayStation. Sorry, people.
So yeah, but I have been getting through it. So I do have some time off coming up this week where nobody's home. So I should hopefully get through that. That's pretty much been like what I've been playing. I completely spaced and didn't buy that Humble Bundle that you sent me, and it expired.
Damn.
I should have, but I'll keep an eye on it for some more. And then I guess I didn't realize too, I really got to kind of put my foot down on Spider-Man 2 because I do want to play Mario RPG that comes out in like 10 days.
Yeah, that comes out very, very soon.
And then we haven't picked up Wonder yet. So I'll have to see if I can finagle that buy 2, get 1 free with Switch stuff and Mario RPG pre-order or something maybe.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull the trigger on some buy 2 get 1 free deal from Amazon. It's good.
Although I hate buying physical media for the Switch because Owen loses them.
So, yeah, you gotta do something about it. Yeah, Dave's got 6 platinums.
Yeah, see, I didn't even know that. Let me see, like Watch Dogs 2, Destiny 1, Destiny 2.
Okay, I see Destiny 2.
Yeah. Watch Dogs 2, Destiny 2, Destiny 1.
Wait, do you have 2 Destiny 2 trophies or platinums? Oh, you do.
Destiny and Destiny 2, right?
Well, so it pops up Destiny 2 as platinums.
Interesting.
Maybe the PS.
And then
I don't know.
No, because Destiny 2 was.
Did they rename Destiny 1 Destiny 2?
I don't think so, but I'd have to see that. Watch Dogs, Destiny 1, Destiny 2, Rocket League. I can't think of what the 6th one is.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I hate the PlayStation app sometimes because I can't organize them.
Johnny is a boy says that I'm only 32% trophy progress for Spider-Man.
Yeah,
2,
you are.
So.
But because both of you were playing on it, maybe by the time you get to the end, you can accidentally get the platinum. Yeah. It's an easy platinum. Destiny 2 is listed twice for 2 different platinums. Dave, keep talking. I'm looking at your trophies.
Yeah, no, so I'm just trying to, I'm really looking forward to RPG. and Super Mario RPG. Just playing that because like it looks like some of the battles are a little bit better. And then watching still
You have
Angela
two
and I are still
Destiny 2
watching Burn
Platinums,
Notice.
yeah.
That's interesting. It must be the PS4 to PS5 version.
Yeah, they must have counted them as separate platinums because I see your Destiny one. I see your Rocket League one.
So three of the six are Destiny.
Yeah, and then I see your Watch Dogs 2, and then your Rocket League, and then what is the last one? Is it this Watch Dogs one?
No, it's not Watch Dogs 1. I don't think I ever played Watch Dogs 1, honestly. So
yeah, it's a mystery. I can't find it.
All right, so we're gonna jump into some of our questions while he's digging like that, or he's given up now. So we #AskDigitalDays, and Core Chris wrote this in our Discord after our conversation last week. He said, "Good morning,
Dead,
Dave and Michael."
Season 1.
Oh yeah, that was like an automatic.
Yeah, that was participation
that.
trophies. Yeah, I got that one too. Yeah, all the Telltale games are participation trophies. It's great.
Yep. All right, so Core Chris writes, "Good morning, Dave and Michael. Great show as always. And my question may sound callous, but it's just a question. Why did they report video game layoffs? I don't care. I don't walk into Walmart and I don't say how many people got fired today before I buy my groceries. I just want to play the game however they see it fit, whether it's 20 people or 150 people. I just don't see the point in announcing layoffs and why they need to tell us that. Any thoughts Any thoughts on this? Thank you. Keep up the great work. Congrats on 4 years."
Yeah, there weren't a lot of periods in that question, so that's why Dave kind of struggled right there. But yeah,
you want to go first?
Yeah, so we answered this in the server on our Discord thing, but I thought it was worth talking about here too. But basically, my whole reason for like why I think it's important to talk about this is, I think the most important thing is so people realize that like there are human beings and people behind the games that you make. And two, I think it's important to talk about because when you're talking about video games, that's an artistic endeavor. You need to know, like, if the people that made the thing you love are still there, especially if they're making sequels to the things that you love, or they're supposed to carry on and make more stuff that you're supposed to like. It's good to know that, like, hey, the team that made Uncharted 2 are making Uncharted 3 and Uncharted 4. If you heard about massive layoffs between those games, you might have different products. Every time there's a huge layoff.
You've always talked about it. I'm not to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but you've always talked about like, is this new Dragon Age game? Like, how many people made the other Dragon Age game? They're still at BioWare. You know,
exactly.
Like, is this the same studio, or is it the same people? Is this like the Callisto Protocol was like should have been called Dead Space 4, but they couldn't because
they were all laid off from EA and formed their own studio. And I also think when we look at currently right now with all the companies laying off their QA staffs, games aren't getting less buggy. Games are coming out as a mess still. So when you hear about like a studio laying off their, like the BioWare laid off all of their QA people because they tried to unionize. And it's crazy to think about, but I will remember this when Dragon Age Dreadwolf comes out. And if that game's buggy as hell, I'm going to be like, maybe you shouldn't have laid off all of your QA. Like this stuff's important to at least get a perspective on like the final product of the game, and also so like who worked on the thing that you loved and you enjoyed. It's different than like buying something at a store that's a like a grocery. It's not an artistic endeavor.
Well, and my approach, like, and the way I answered it in the server too, is that you only know what you know. And what I mean by that is, like, I just went through it when I left Bed Bath & Beyond and watching a company go bankrupt and ultimately disappear. You don't really hear about it until it gets bad. Walmart had, as in your example, Chris, like Walmart has been notorious for treating their people like garbage. And the only reason, to be honest with you, that I think that I know about that, and maybe you don't, or that you're not as versed in the subject, is because I don't know. I'm assuming here. I don't think you're in the retail field, so you're not hearing about it. You're not running into it. You're not seeing those conversations come up like we are. Like, you're listening to a video game podcast, and like that's where we're digging into. My timeline's been filled with positive things around Destiny and negative things around Destiny because that's my timeline.
Yeah.
And I've heard about how Walmart treats their people because, one, I've interviewed them.
Yeah. I've walked
had
into a
conversations
Walmart
with
and
them.
seen how disorganized and messy Walmarts are, at least in my city,
Right.
and they
Right.
often burn through employees. So yeah, I can make that
I mean,
correlation.
I've gone shopping with my parents, and I'm like, okay, well, this is a problem. And my parents are like, what are you talking about? I've seen my parents be rude to customer service people, and I stop them.
Yeah.
Because they don't do customer service. I do. I'm like, you're not going to talk to somebody that way, and they don't know because they've never been talked to that way.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where like we find out about these things, and I said this, for like in all of DDG's lifespan of like, this is the terrible part of these acquisitions and these mergers. Like, they're necessary evils. But 10 years ago, we would have never known that factions was a thing. Like, Jason Schreier wouldn't have been able to break, that Destiny's been delayed or that Rockstar's doing their things. Like, those things, like, weren't as, I guess, let me backtrack that. He wouldn't have been able to, it would have been in a magazine. It would have been a cover article for Game Informer.
Yeah.
It would have been, and now it's a 100-character tweet.
Yeah.
And it gets shared and screenshotted and posted, and YouTube videos are made. Just the way that we consume information now is so vastly different. And again, Chris, not picking on you, but if you really dug into, as an example, if you really dug into Walmart and looked at what they do and how and what they've done, you might have a fundamental problem with them. And I'm 100% agree with you. If they're the cheapest place to buy milk, that's where I'm buying my milk.
But you might also be able to connect the dots on why certain things are wrong at that location or at that store, or at that company, if you knew all the work that goes behind the scenes. And that happens with video games all the time.
Yeah. And ultimately, I've had this question asked to me by a couple people, like, am I going to stop playing Destiny because of how Bungie treated their people? And the answer is unfortunately no. Like, I'm committed to playing this game. I enjoy playing this game. It's a game that I have for fun. It's a game I play with my friends.
Not fun, and that could come down to how they treated their people.
Absolutely, but the unfortunate part is, am I going to stop playing this game because of how this company dealt with their people?
Not now.
99% of the time, no. Like,
well, you look at EA was voted the worst company in the world for like 10 years straight, but it didn't stop Madden sales or anything else. Right. The quality might have dipped from time to time, but it didn't stop sales.
So, and I get it. It's a terrible approach, and like, oh, you're supporting I'm paying for my entertainment, and that's kind of like my choice. Just like I'm paying for the value that the big conglomerate Walmart develops. I mean, I'm sitting here, like I used the example in the Discord answer that I did, is like, I live in Metro Detroit. The UAW, the United Auto Workers, like, I don't know, Michael, did you know the UAW's been on strike for 6 weeks?
Yes, I did. That's just because I pay attention to too much stuff going on with strikes and stuff. But
there's,
did I know right away though? No, I found out they were halfway through.
Do you know why I do?
Because you live over there.
Right, because there's a freaking square mile building that's like I can walk to from my house. Yeah. That when I drive by it at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday morning during rush hour, that's a ghost town, or there's people walking around with picket signs. Like, what's going on.
But also to help you out, Dave, just a little bit. Dave's not saying if Bungie was just like announced tomorrow they're gonna like kill 10% of their staff, you'd probably quit playing Destiny at that point. It varies from like what you're willing to deal with, like,
right. But I feel like, right, wrong, or indifferent, the reduction in staff is justified if you're missing 50% of your revenue.
Yeah.
Like, that's life.
But
like, if my store that I run is operating at 50% less than it was supposed to, and I'm still using the same labor I was using, I'm getting fired.
Yeah. But from a player perspective, if you didn't know about the layoffs or anything, and they said Final Shape is delayed 6 months, and then Final Shape comes out and it's kind of shit, you're going to be like, how did this happen? And then you're going to dig into it and be like, oh, because they laid off 120 people potentially.
But I guess the counterpoint that I would have to you is, what if Final Shape is amazing?
No, yeah.
What if it's the best thing that Bungie's released in 30
and it
years?
could be those situations where, like, we needed to trim the fat, we needed to narrow our focus, which meant we delayed Marathon and pulled staff from that to work on this. And then that's like it's an unfortunate success story.
Do we hate Activision now? Like that's the problem. Everybody's like, there was a boycotting of Activision during the sexual harassment issues. Now Microsoft buys them. Like, do you still boycott the people? Like, what does it make it better? Does it make it worse? If they didn't get bought, would you do it? Would you, there's too many things to think about and to control and to vary your entertainment or your value or your worth around.
Yeah, but it's still good to stay informed and kind of know what you're buying, and also you can usually find answers based on how they're conducting business in terms of Like, hey, Embracer keeps laying people off and they can't release games, huh?
Well, and their CEO just left.
Yeah, the co-president. It's that sort of stuff is worth talking about, especially when you're talking about like gaming news and you want to be kind of informed about like what's happening with various games. Like factions sounds like it's a mess, and we've learned that through news reports and through the layoff reports that it is a mess. So it's it's worth talking about, and it's also one of those things where it's just like it's very easy to just disengage from like the layoff talks stuff if you want to. Me and Dave are very connected, so
yeah, it's never enough. Like today it was Mass Effect Day or yesterday, and they did that teaser for it, and people are like, well, where's the Dragon Age news? Like, it's Mass Effect Day.
Yeah.
Like,
but at the same time,
Mass Effect.
But at the same,
I agree. I know you're like, where's my Dragon Age news? But it's Mass Effect Day. Like, and so like that's the thing. It's like going trick or treating and saying, well, where's my Christmas gift?
Yeah, but at the same time, like me and Greg Gross were talking about in Discord. It's just like you didn't have to do a new trailer for Mass Effect Day. You could have just did Fan Appreciation Day like you did previous years. Right. But they chose to do a trailer, Yeah,
but there's just all these expectations come out from conversations. Like people are like, what's Naughty Dog going to do for Outbreak Day? To where Naughty Dog had to release a statement that says, we're not doing anything for Outbreak Day.
But that's the thing is like even before The Last of Us Part 2 released, they still wouldn't do anything major for Outbreak Day. They would just do like, here's a bunch of fan art.
Everybody's like, tomorrow's Outbreak Day. What are they doing?
Yeah. And then for like 4 years straight, they were like, look at this cool art. We released a new
Tuesday's
t-shirt.
Alan Wake's birthday. What are we gonna get an Alan Wake 3 teaser?
Nintendo made Mario Day a thing, and they don't do shit for Mario Day,
except for put stuff on sale for you to
buy.
Yes,
exactly. It's not that big a deal. But yeah, we can move on, Dave, to the next question.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of which, Grey Ghost writes, WB states more live service games going forward. What with a question mark? Why? Please discuss. Why? Because live service games, when they succeed,
in theory,
print money. Yeah, print money when they succeed.
So, I think this is Zaslav was the head of Warner Brothers, has proven to be kind of an incompetent CEO with how he runs the movie business and the streaming business. I can see someone that's not part of the gaming industry be like, yeah, live service money coming in every week, every month, every day. Cool, fantastic. That's what we're going to do, and not realize that most of the industry has kind of hit this wall with live service games where you have Ubisoft basically like putting their live service games on hold. You have PlayStation putting their live service games on hold, and you have someone who's not connected to the gaming industry being like, let's do live service games. What I find baffling is one of the biggest games of the year was Hogwarts Legacy, a single player game, and probably the most successful games Warner Brothers has ever put out is a single player game. And yet that's not the future of Warner Brothers. Mortal Kombat just released, sold 3 million copies within a month, is technically a live service game. I imagine the CEO of Warner Brothers is like just going with the most recent thing for his ideas. It doesn't mean it's actually going to happen. This was just what he said in a financial call.
Yeah, it sucks because to your point though, you could point to the last 10 years of Warner Brothers success pushing Mortal Kombat off to the right just for a minute, just because it's a numbered franchise, but the Batman games,
single player, yep,
and Hogwarts,
yep,
like every 3 years.
Yeah, and Hogwarts is the most successful.
With Arkham Knight being at the bottom of the list and Arkham City probably at the top.
Yeah, yeah, and
with Hogwarts very, very close.
If not already surpassed it based on how crazy.
If not surpassed, but either right at or above.
Yeah, and Hogwarts Legacy, like regardless of like how you feel about J.K. Rowling, who's a piece of shit, you have a franchise with Hogwarts Legacy that is beyond Harry Potter. Like it's Hogwarts Legacy. That could be a franchise. It doesn't have to be a continuation. You literally have built something that's like, what if we just revisit different time periods within Hogwarts and then just build from there and do this.
And I don't want to go down this tangent with what you just said, but that's the part that sucks though about like access to too much information.
No, 100%. Like the only reason
there are people that are sitting there like going, I can't believe I wasted my childhood reading her books.
Yeah.
Like because they found out something 20 years later.
No, and it sucks though too because I feel like if you do bring up Harry Potter or Hogwarts, you kind of have to mention that person and also state your opinion on that person, because if you say anything slightly positive about Hogwarts Legacy, the pitchforks come out because it's related to that person.
Well, and you run into this in the city you live in, and not to this highest extent, but it's like, hey, I'm Michael, nice to meet you. Oh, cool, man, like, nice to meet you. Are you a Cubs fan or
yeah,
or a White Sox
exactly.
fan?
Yeah.
You got a 50-50 chance of being this dude's friend.
Yeah,
based on that one answer.
Exactly.
Like, are you for J.K. Rowling's or not? Like, dude, I just like Hogwarts.
Yeah.
I like Harry Potter. Yeah, but like J.K. Like, do you like? And like, I like Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, and I feel like that's the thing when you mention this stuff. But it doesn't matter in the end of the day for sales, because Hogwarts Legacy was like the number one best-selling game up until.
It should be. Yeah. It should be in the conversation for the top 3 game of the year at the Video Game Awards. I don't think it will be because people are against J.K. Rowling's.
I don't think it was that good, but
really, no, based on sales and everything.
Sales doesn't count when it comes to Game of the Year. Because then at that point, Roblox
it's success of the year.
Yeah. In a slow year, I think Hogwarts Legacy probably would have been in it, but this year has been kind of crazy with how many games have come out. But like, if you're Warner Brothers and you're like, live service games are the future, it just seems baffling when Hogwarts Legacy did so well. And if you tell me Warner Brothers Hogwarts Legacy can't just do what Spider-Man did of like, hey, we just made 3 games using the same map and we just added a little bit to it. You're telling me you can't do that with Hogwarts Legacy? Literally just like, hey, we decorated the castle to look like it's the 1800s now, or we decorated the castle to be the 1990s again. Like, you could do stuff like that and just keep building that into its own franchise, but instead they're like, what if we do more live service games? And I think that's a good way to have Warner Brothers fail after having a really strong year, after having like 5 slow years. Because you're talking about like 2 of the biggest games that released this year came out of Warner Brothers. That's crazy to me, based on where they were the last like 3 or 4 years.
And you're talking Mortal Kombat and Hogwarts Legacy, right?
Yeah. They went from like a couple years of nothing outside of maybe a Batman game to having 2 major successful games in 1 year.
Yeah, but I mean, to follow back to Greg Ghost's question, like, I need to see WB's formula. I need to see Suicide Squad.
Like, that's going to change everything. Yeah, like that.
Right.
Yeah.
If that's a good, if somehow this delay works and they can make this game and people enjoy playing this game and it's fun and there's potential, then you can justify, like, I think as an example, I hate to say it, but I think there's potential for a Batman live service game of plenty of villains to sprinkle in there, areas to do, stories to tell,
it's
arcs to go
Suicide
down, different
Squad
characters to play at.
Gotham Knight.
No, I'm just talking about the Bruce, like focusing on Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, yeah. You could do something there, but we got Suicide Squad coming next year, Dave.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, we'll see. So.
All right. When is Suicide Squad coming out?
It's like June, I think. June of 2024.
I'm Googling
while Michael's
it right now.
looking that up on Google, you can follow us on the socials. I know we just ripped a bunch of Twitter and X, but you can follow the main show at Digital Days Pod.
February.
Again, February. Oh, okay. That's not too far away. They need to start talking about that again.
Fuck
soon.
yeah, they do. You thought it was June, and I was like, oh, yep. I forgot it existed.
Yep.
So
you can follow at the main show at Digital Days Pod. You can follow Michael at the first MJC. You can follow myself at Good Dave Hunt. Like I said, we're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch simultaneously. Replays on YouTube, youtube.com/digitaldaysgaming. You can join our Facebook group, our Discord server. We'd really prefer the Discord server just because it's just very, very focused, very easier to deal with. But to each their own. If you follow us on Twitter, awesome. If you join Facebook, thank you. If you join Discord, thank you. You can do any of that stuff as well. Hopefully before the holiday, I'm pushing to sooner than later, obviously, to complete Spider-Man so that we can record a spoiler cast. I think I can get it done this week based on what you're telling me I'm at. So.
Yeah, if you just hunker down for like 4 hours, I think you're good.
Okay. But yeah, like that'll be our goal. Maybe that'll be the thing that we, release on Patreon, and then maybe we, give that to you guys as your thing you can put your headphones on when you're at dinner, your Thanksgiving dinner with your family. You don't want to listen to them. So, other than that, everything is linked in the show notes, and as well as you can go to digitaldaysgaming.com. And yeah, that's a wrap on 200 weekly episodes, even though we've done like 250 pieces of content.
Yeah, that is a podcast. That's 200 episodes.
Yeah.
I don't have any
So I hope
confetti. Do I have anything?
Yeah.
The trophy.
I-
Very
it's so
pixelated.
I hope everybody has a great week. Keep moving forward.
Don't be a dick. See ya.